What if I told you the biggest mistakes men make in relationships aren't because they don't care, but because they don't see the signs? Welcome to Woman's Secret Signals, the channel where we decode what's really going on beneath the surface. Because here's the truth: attraction isn't always spoken, respect isn't always obvious, and sometimes the difference between being valued and being used comes down to the signals you're missing every single day. Have you ever felt like you're giving your all, but getting confusion in return? Like she says one thing, but her actions tell a completely different story? Or worse, you're left questioning yourself, wondering where you went wrong? That ends here. On this channel, we break down real behaviors, real psychology, and real patterns so you can finally understand what women show, but don't always say. No guessing. No mixed signals. No wasting your time on the wrong person. Whether it's attraction signs, red flags, or hidden behaviors, you're about to see relationships in a way most men never do. So if you're ready to stop being confused and start being aware, confident, and in control, make sure you subscribe, because once you see these signals, you can't unsee them. Let's get started. Let's be real, relationships are supposed to feel like a partnership, not a one-sided sacrifice. But sometimes you may find yourself constantly giving, constantly adjusting, and constantly questioning whether you're actually valued. And that's where today's topic hits hard. 5 signs a woman is selfish and doesn't deserve you. Now, before we dive in, this isn't about blaming or attacking women. It's about helping you recognize unhealthy patterns so you can protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Because the truth is, a selfish partner, regardless of gender, can slowly drain you without you even realizing it. At the beginning, everything might seem perfect. She's charming, attentive, and exciting. But over time, things shift. You start noticing that your needs come second, or don't even make the list. You feel like you're always the one making compromises, while she expects everything to revolve around her. And here's the dangerous part: selfishness doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It can be subtle. It can be disguised as confidence, independence, or even vulnerability. That's why so many people stay stuck in these relationships longer than they should. In this video, we're going to break down the signs you should never ignore. These are behaviors that clearly show a lack of respect, empathy, and genuine care for you as a partner. Because at the end of the day, you deserve someone who meets you halfway, someone who values you just as much as you value them. So if you've been feeling overlooked, unappreciated, or emotionally exhausted, this might be exactly what you need to hear. Let's get into the first sign. The first and most obvious sign of a selfish woman is this: everything is always about her. Her needs, her feelings, her priorities. And while it's completely normal for someone to care about themselves, the problem starts when there's no balance. In a healthy relationship, both people matter. Both voices are heard. But with a selfish partner, you'll notice a pattern. You're always the one adjusting. If she's upset, the world stops. If you're upset, it somehow becomes an inconvenience. Think about it. How often do your needs actually get acknowledged? When you're stressed, tired, or going through something, does she genuinely show up for you? Or does she quickly shift the focus back to herself? A selfish woman will expect emotional support, attention, and effort from you, but rarely returns it. It's like you're pouring into a cup that never pours back. Another major red flag is decision-making. Whether it's choosing where to eat, how to spend time together, or making bigger life choices, it always leans in her favor. Your preferences? They're either ignored or treated like they don't matter as much. And over time, this creates a silent frustration. You may not even argue about it, but deep down, you start feeling invisible. Like your role in the relationship is just to serve, not to be valued. Here's the truth: you're not asking for too much. Wanting mutual respect, care, and consideration is the bare minimum. If she consistently puts herself first while you're left compromising again and again, that's not love. That's selfishness. And you deserve better than that. Now, let's move on to the next sign. The second sign is a little deeper and, honestly, more damaging over time. She lacks empathy for your feelings. Empathy is what makes a relationship feel safe. It's the ability to understand, care, and emotionally connect with what your partner is going through. Without it, the relationship starts to feel cold, distant, and one-sided. If a woman is selfish, you'll notice that your emotions don't really matter to her. When you open up about something bothering you, instead of listening and trying to understand, she might dismiss it, minimize it, or even turn it against you. For example, you tell her you feel hurt by something she said, and instead of acknowledging it, she responds with, "You're too sensitive," or "You're overreacting." Suddenly, the problem isn't what you did, it's how you feel about it. That's a huge red flag. Over time, this kind of behavior can make you shut down emotionally. You stop expressing yourself, not because you don't have feelings, but because you know they won't be respected. And that's a dangerous place to be in any relationship. A selfish woman may also struggle to support you during tough times. When you're dealing with stress, failure, or personal challenges, she may seem uninterested, distracted, or even annoyed that your problems are taking attention away from her. And here's the key point: someone who truly cares about you will feel when you're not okay. They won't ignore it. They won't brush it off. So if you constantly feel unheard, misunderstood, or emotionally alone, it's not just a rough phase. It's a sign, because real love includes empathy. Without it, the connection simply isn't real. Let's move on to the third sign. The third sign is something that builds slowly, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. She takes more than she gives. Every relationship requires effort from both sides. Time, energy, attention, support, it should flow both ways. But with a selfish woman, the balance is completely off. You're the one constantly giving, while she's the one constantly receiving. At first, you might not mind. You care about her, so you go the extra mile. You make time for her, support her goals, surprise her, and try to make her happy. But over time, you start noticing something. She doesn't match that energy. When was the last time she did something thoughtful for you without being asked? When was the last time she showed appreciation in a meaningful way? A selfish partner often expects grand gestures, but gives very little in return. And if she does give, it might feel forced, minimal, or only done when it benefits her in some way. Another key sign is how she reacts when you need something. If you ask for support, attention, or even basic effort, she may act like it's a burden, like you're asking for too much, when in reality, you're just asking for fairness. This kind of imbalance can leave you feeling drained. You start to feel like no matter how much you give, it's never enough. And that's because with a selfish person, it never is. Healthy relationships don't feel like transactions, but they also don't feel like sacrifices from one side only. If you're always the one investing while she's just collecting the benefits, then you're not in a partnership. You're in a one-sided situation, and you deserve someone who gives back just as much as you do. Now, let's move on to the next sign. The fourth sign is something many people ignore until it becomes a serious problem. She doesn't respect your boundaries. Boundaries are essential in any healthy relationship. They define what you're comfortable with, what you value, and how you expect to be treated. A partner who truly cares about you will respect those limits, even if they don't fully agree with them. But a selfish woman? She sees your boundaries as obstacles. You might notice that whenever you try to set a limit, whether it's about your time, personal space, friendships, or even your values, she pushes back. She may guilt trip you, manipulate you, or make you feel like you're being unreasonable just for standing up for yourself. For example, if you say you need some time to focus on work or yourself, she might respond with frustration instead of understanding. Or if you express discomfort about something she's doing, she might ignore it completely and continue anyway. Over time, this creates a situation where your boundaries slowly disappear. Not because you don't have them, but because you feel like it's easier to give in than to argue. And that's exactly how selfish behavior works. It pressures you into sacrificing your comfort just to keep the peace. Another major red flag is disrespect during disagreements. If she crosses the line, whether it's through insults, dismissive comments, or controlling behavior, and then refuses to take accountability, It shows a lack of respect for you as a person. Here's the truth: love without respect doesn't last. And boundaries are a big part of that respect. If she constantly ignores, challenges, or breaks your boundaries, it's not a misunderstanding. It's a pattern. And you deserve someone who values your limits, not someone who tries to erase them. Now, let's move to the final sign. The final sign, and probably the most revealing one, is this: she only values you when it's convenient for her. At first, everything might feel normal. She gives you attention, spends time with you, and makes you feel important. But if you look closely, there's a pattern. Her effort comes and goes, depending on what she needs in that moment. When she's bored, lonely, or needs emotional support, suddenly you're a priority. She calls, texts, and wants your time. But when she's busy, happy, or distracted by something better, you feel like you don't even exist. This inconsistency is not random, it's selective effort. A selfish woman treats the relationship like a switch: on when it benefits her, off when it doesn't. You might find yourself constantly waiting, waiting for replies, waiting for plans, waiting to feel important again. And when she finally gives you attention, it feels like relief, like you've been rewarded. But that's not how a healthy relationship should work. Real connection is consistent. It doesn't disappear when it's inconvenient. Another sign is how she treats your time. If she frequently cancels plans, shows up late without respect, or expects you to always be available for her, but doesn't do the same for you, that's a clear lack of value. And deep down, you feel it. You feel like an option, not a priority. Here's the hard truth: someone who truly values you doesn't put you on standby. They don't pick and choose when to care. So if her effort only shows up when it benefits her, it's not genuine. It's convenience. And you deserve someone who chooses you consistently, not occasionally. If you recognized even a few of these signs, don't ignore them. Awareness is the first step. You don't have to settle for one-sided love, because the right person won't drain you, they'll grow with you. And that's the kind of relationship worth having.